I'm almost 40, and lately I've been thinking about something that I don't think I really understood when I was 20 or even 30. You don't suddenly wake up one morning and have a completely different body. It happens quietly. You get busy. You take care of everybody else. You push through being tired and you tell yourself you'll eat better tomorrow. You'll drink more water tomorrow. You'll start taking your vitamins again tomorrow. You'll go to bed earlier tomorrow and you're going to take better care of your skin tomorrow. You'll you'll slow down when life slows down. And then one day you look at yourself and realize life didn't slow down and neither did time. I'm about to be 40 in just a few months. I've lived with multiple sclerosis for almost 2 decades. I've spent years learning about nutrition and fasting and supplements, health, and the human body. And I'm realizing that knowing how to take care of yourself and actually taking care of yourself are two very different things. So, this isn't going to be one of those here are 10 things every woman needs to do before 40. I don't have everything figured out. This is more personal than that because I've decided there are some things I want to change about the way I live in this body for the next 40 years. Not because I'm afraid of getting older, actually, almost the opposite. I want to be here for it. I want energy. I want strength. I want a clear mind. I want healthy skin. I want to keep walking. I want to keep learning. I want to be present for my family. And I want to continue doing the things God gives me the opportunity to do. And I don't want to spend the next decade constantly fighting my body. So today I want to talk about what I'm going to change before 40. And maybe while I figure this out, you'll recognize something about yourself and figure out what you might want to change too. So for part one, why I don't want to be young again is something I realized. I actually don't want to be 20 again. Do you? Because sometimes I think we're sold this idea that aging successfully somehow means defeating aging, looking younger, acting younger, trying to maintain exactly the same body or the same face or the same energy. And I don't know that I want that anymore. There was beautiful things about being 20, but there were also things I didn't know, things I didn't understand about myself, and things I hadn't lived through yet. At 20, I didn't have almost 2 decades of experience living in a body with MS. I hadn't learned what my body could tolerate. I hadn't learned how important nutrition could be. I hadn't learned about fasting the way I understand it today. I hadn't learned to pay attention to the little signals my body gives me, and I certainly didn't understand aging. When you're young, you almost assume your body is going to continue doing whatever you ask of it. Stay up late? Fine. Skip a meal? Fine. Eat terribly? Fine. Run yourself ragged? Fine. Forget your vitamins? Forget your skincare? Stress constantly? Fine. Until eventually your body starts sending invoices. And I've started thinking, what if turning 40 isn't a warning that I'm running out of youth? What if it's an invitation to become a better steward of the body I have? That's a completely different way of thinking about aging. I don't want to be 20-year-old Rebecca. No, I want the healthiest version of my almost 40-year-old face. I don't want my teenage body back. I want a strong, nourished, capable body right now. I don't want to erase everything I've lived through. Those years made me who I am. I just want to take better care of the woman who came out of the other side of all of it. So for part two, I want to talk about how MS changed the way I think about time. For me, this conversation, it's different because I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed when I was very young. And when somebody gives you a diagnosis like MS at that age, suddenly the future doesn't feel quite as automatic anymore. You start thinking about things most people in their early 20s aren't thinking about. mobility, independence, what your body might be able to do later, what your future might look like. And I have lived with that knowledge for years, for 2 decades. I have tried treatments, I've made changes, I've learned, I've gotten things wrong, and I've changed my mind about things again and again. I've researched and I've experimented with my lifestyle. I've prayed, I've fasted, I've paid attention, and I am still learning. I want to be very clear about something whenever I talk about MS. I am not claiming that lifestyle alone cures multiple sclerosis. MS is a serious neurological disease, and if you have MS, your medical care should be individualized with qualified healthcare professionals. But living with a chronic disease has taught me something that applies far beyond MS. You cannot control everything that happens inside your body. But there are things that you can influence. And I want to take responsibility for the things I can influence without pretending I control the things I can't. That's where I want to live. Not in fear, not in denial, somewhere in the middle, in responsibility. So let's move on to part 3. I'm done confusing pushing through with health. I think women are particularly good at this. We're tired and we keep going. We're overwhelmed and we keep going. And we're hungry, so we wait. We're stressed and we keep going. And someone needs us, we go. Something needs to get done and we do it. And sometimes we become incredibly good at functioning while not actually feeling very good. And then because we're still functioning, we tell ourselves, see, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. But functioning and thriving aren't the same thing. They're just not. And this is something I'm thinking about more as I approach 40. I don't want my health standard to simply be, can Rebecca force herself through the day today? That's a terrible standard. I want to ask better questions. I want you to ask yourself better questions. How is my energy? How am I sleeping? Am I eating enough and nourishing food? Am I getting enough protein? Am I getting micronutrients? Do I even know which ones I need? Do I even know what those are? Do I need to learn some more? Am I moving my body? Am I getting outside? How is my stress? Am I resting? How is my digestion? How is my mental clarity? What signals have I normalized because I've felt them for so long? Those are different questions. And sometimes the answer isn't some enormous medical mystery. Sometimes the answer is, Rebecca, you need to eat. Your answer might be, you need water. You could sit across from me as a patient and be disappointed to hear that you need sleep. You've had enough caffeine and you need to go outside, or you need to stop trying to accomplish 12 things today. And I know those things can be hard to. That's the funny part. I'm a health coach. I study this stuff. I teach this stuff. I help people implement this stuff. And yet I'm still human. Knowledge doesn't make you immune to your own habits. It's a struggle and it's hard. Okay. All right. Part 4. Let's talk about that food has to become nourishment again. One of the things I want to be much more intentional about going forward for myself is nourishment, because nutrition conversations have become kind of strange, right? Everything is, don't eat this, don't eat that. Carbs are bad. Carbs, wait, no. Fat is bad. Wait, no. Meat is bad. Oh, wait. Carnivore? Wait. Plants are good. Sugar? Bad. Breakfast? Bad. Skipping breakfast? Bad. Fasting is bad. Fasting is amazing. And what? Eventually, people become terrified of food, and that's not where I want to live. I want to come back to a very basic question. What does my body need to function well? Protein, essential fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber, plant compounds were tolerated. Like, you need some fresh fruits, vegetables, just enough overall energy, good hydration, actual real food. And different people may need different approaches depending on their health, medications, age, activity level. Like, individual needs vary. But there's something very grounding about looking at food and asking, what is this giving my body? Not, will this make me skinny? Not, is this food good or evil? What is it providing? Right? That's the question. What is it providing? Protein, iron, magnesium, potassium, folate, vitamin C, healthy fat, fiber, energy. Like that's a much healthier conversation to have. So, for part 5, we got to talk about fasting. Yes, I still believe in fasting. Now, somebody who has watched my channel for any amount of time is probably thinking, Rebecca, wait a minute, you talk about fasting all the time. And I do. I still think fasting can be an incredibly powerful tool. I've written an entire book about it because I think fasting is a fascinating physiologically, historically, and spiritually. But fasting and nourishment, they're not enemies. A healthy fasting practice, it has to respect the importance of nourishment. The goal isn't to see how little food you can survive on. That's not what we're interested in. I don't want that. You don't want that. For me, fasting has become much bigger than just weight loss. It's about periods of eating and periods of rest from eating. It's about metabolic flexibility. It's about recognizing that human beings historically didn't have constant access to food every waking hour. And spiritually, fasting has existed across cultures and faith traditions for an incredibly long time. But here's where maturity matters. Just because something can be beneficial doesn't mean more is always better. If someone is underweight, pregnant, breastfeeding, child, teenager, history of eating disorder, be honest with yourself. Okay. Fasting may be inappropriate for some people without professional supervision. Context matters. Your individual situation matters. And I'm becoming increasingly interested in something I might call the balance between fasting and feasting well. Not feasting meaning junk food. Feasting meaning nourishing the body when it's time to eat. Fast intentionally, eat intentionally, rest intentionally, and move intentionally. That feels much closer to a whole body health than simply chasing longer and longer fasts. I want to talk about micronutrients as well. So we'll do that for part 6 because I am taking micronutrients more seriously. It's another area where we're going to be exploring a lot more on this channel because vitamins and minerals are so important. And I don't mean buying 47 bottles because somebody on TikTok told you you need them. I mean actually understanding what these nutrients do. Vitamin D, B vitamins, magnesium, iron, zinc, vitamin C, A, E, K, calcium, selenium, omega-3 fatty acids, like which technically aren't vitamins, but belong in this broader nutritional conversation. So just keep in mind that your body requires these substances. It really does. For real biological processes, your nervous system uses nutrients. Your immune system uses them. Your bones require them. Your muscles require nutrients and your skin. It requires nutrients. Your brain, of course it does. And having MS makes me particularly interested in the nervous system and the immune system. That's why I'm doing deeper videos about individual nutrients, including vitamin D. I just recorded one. I'm going to post that soon. Rather than just saying, take your vitamins, I want us to understand why. What does this nutrient actually do? Where do we get it? What happens when we're deficient? And can we get too much? What does the research say? And what do we know? What do we not know? That's kind of the health education. Yeah, that is the health education I want this channel to be known for. Not fear, not miracle claims, but understanding. For part 7, I want to talk about our skin a little more because it is part of our health. This might surprise some people who originally came here because of MS or fasting. Why is Rebecca suddenly talking about skincare? Because my skin didn't suddenly become irrelevant when I decided to care about my internal health. Your skin is an organ. It's your interface with the outside world. It changes with age. Collagen, elastin, cell turnover, all these things change moisture retention. And as sun exposure accumulates and hormone changes affect us, nutrition, stress, and sleep all affect us. And it can be a compounding effect. So, what we put on it can affect how it looks and feels naturally. But the deeper reason I talk about skincare is because I'm rejecting an idea that I think a lot of women absorb, that caring about beauty automatically makes you vain. No, I don't believe that. Vanity and stewardship are not the same thing. There is nothing wrong with washing your face with love and care. There's nothing wrong with moisturizing your skin. There's nothing wrong with enjoying makeup. There's nothing wrong with wanting your skin to look healthy. There's nothing wrong with feeling beautiful, and there's nothing wrong with wrinkles. Those things can coexist. I can use a serum and still love the face underneath it. I can use an eye treatment without believing that the the wrinkles here are a moral failure. No, they're from smiling too much. I can care for my skin without trying to erase 40 years of living. That is the relationship with beauty that I want going forward. I want to talk a little more about my mom because she taught me something I didn't appreciate when I was younger. And this is where Jafra fits into the whole conversation because Jafra isn't something that randomly appeared on my channel because somebody sent me a product. No, it's connected to my family. My mom, Patricia, has been involved with Jafra for 50 years. I grew up around these products. I've used Jafra for decades. And now, approaching 40, I'm looking at skincare through a completely different lens than I did when I was younger. When you're young, moisturizer is just moisturizer, right? It's just lotion. Your mother tells you to take care of your skin and you think, yeah, yeah, mom, I know. And then you get older and suddenly you're like, oh, mother may have had a point. Funny how that happens. And now I get to look at the products differently. I want to understand the ingredients. I want to understand why they're formulated the way they are. And I want to understand what actually has evidence behind it. And I also get to appreciate the family story attached to it. That's why you've been seeing Jafra on this channel. It belongs in this larger conversation about caring for ourselves, about women caring for themselves. And if you ever want to explore Jafra yourself, I'll put my mom Patricia's consultant link in the description below. There's no pressure. I'm sharing it because people keep asking whether they can find the products I'm talking about, and I'd much rather I send you to someone I trust. All right, so for part 9, I want to talk about exercise um, and that it's become less about looking good. It's another change. I want to think about movement differently because approaching 40, muscle starts meaning something different. Strength means something different. Balance means something different. Bone health and mobility, it changes. And because I live with MS, mobility has never felt entirely theoretical to me. So instead of thinking, how many calories did that burn? I'm more interested in, will this help me remain capable? Can I carry groceries? Can I get up from the floor? Can I maintain balance? Can I climb stairs? Can I travel? Can I play with my future grandchildren someday? Can I continue walking into my 60s, 70s, and beyond? Obviously, none of us can guarantee those things, but I can train for the future that I'm hoping for and that I want. And that's how I want to think about exercise, not punishment, but preparation for living. We also need to talk about rest and the opposite side of that coin because we need to not ignore it. This one is hard because our culture celebrates exhaustion in a weird way. I only slept 4 hours. Oh, I'm so tough. Or I've been going nonstop. I haven't eaten all day. Ugh, I'm so busy. And sometimes we say these things almost like accomplishments. But your nervous system doesn't hand out trophies for burnout. Your body still needs recovery. Sleep matters and rest matters and quiet matters. And I think this is particularly important when you're dealing with chronic illness. There are moments when pushing yourself is good, and there are moments when you need discipline, and there are moments when discipline means stop, Rest, recover, go to sleep, say no. You don't have to earn rest by completely exhausting yourself first. That's something I'm still learning. I'm paying attention to what my body is saying. One of the phrases I've been thinking about is your body doesn't speak English. It communicates through signals: energy, hunger, thirst, pain, sleep, digestion, mood, temperature. Your skin, texture and feeling, strength, balance, focus, menstrual changes, heart rate. There's countless biological signals. The problem is that we get very good at leaving those messages on red: tired, caffeine; hungry, ignore it; stressed, push harder; can't sleep, scroll; brain fog, more caffeine; body hurts, push through it. And sometimes we need to ask, what is the message? Not every symptom has a simple lifestyle explanation. And unexplained, severe, new, or worsening symptoms deserve proper medical evaluation, my friend. But paying attention to your body is not the same as obsessing over your body. It's awareness. And I want more of that going into 40. You know, for part 12, I want to make sure you recognize that health is not a moral scorecard. This one is important. If you get sick, it does not mean you failed at health. If someone eats perfectly and develops cancer, they didn't fail. If someone exercises and develops MS, they didn't fail. If someone does everything right and develops an autoimmune disease, they didn't fail. Health is influenced by genetics, environment, infections, exposures, socioeconomic circumstances, random biology, age, lifestyle, things science still doesn't fully understand. So when I talk about taking responsibility for my health, I am not saying if you're sick, you caused it. Absolutely not. I'm saying I want to care for what has been entrusted to me as well as I reasonably can. Those are completely different ideas. Faith has changed the way I see my body. My faith is part of this too. I believe this body is a gift, not a perfect body, not an immortal body, not a body that will never become sick, a human body. And human bodies are vulnerable. They age, they change, they get hurt, they heal, they scar, they get stronger, they get weaker, they carry babies, they carry us through grief, they carry us through joy, they carry us through decades of our lives. And when I think about my body as something God has allowed me to experience this life through, taking care of it feels different. Eating becomes nourishment. Movement becomes gratitude. Rest becomes permission. Skincare becomes stewardship. Fasting can become spiritual as well as physical. And aging, it becomes evidence that I've been given more time. And that's beautiful to me. I don't want to reset every line that appears on my face while simultaneously asking God for more years of life. Think about that. We pray for long lives and then we're horrified when our faces show evidence that we've lived them. Maybe we need a different definition of aging well. So, what do I actually want to do at 40? What do I want? I don't need abs. I don't need to look 25. I don't need perfect skin and I don't need perfect lab results. I don't need a flawless diet. I don't need to become the woman who wakes up at 4:30 every morning, drinks green juice, runs 7 miles, meditates for an hour and never eats a cookie. No, that woman sounds exhausting. I want something much simpler. I want strength. I want nourishment. I want energy. I want mobility. I want mental clarity. I want healthy skin. I want meaningful relationships. I want purpose. I want faith. I want peace. And I want enough flexibility that health doesn't become another prison because I don't want to spend my life trying so hard to optimize my health that I forget to actually live. So here's what I'm changing. I'm simplifying. I'm going to pay closer attention to whether I'm actually nourishing myself. I'm going to continue learning about nutrients instead of blindly taking supplements. I'm going to use fasting intentionally rather than just treating longer as automatically better. I'm going to prioritize strength and mobility. I'm going to take care of my skin without apologizing for caring about beauty. I'm going to work on sleep and recovery, and I'm going to pay attention to the signals my body gives me. I'm going to keep learning about MS and I'm going to question things. I'm going to change my mind when better evidence gives me a reason to. And I'm going to give myself grace when I don't do all things perfectly. And I'm going to document it. That's what You Are Worth It Health is becoming. Not a channel where I sit here and pretend that I have perfect health. It's a place where we figure it out together. And actually, I want to turn this into an experiment because now between now and 40, I want to document what happens when I become more intentional about taking care of myself. Not extreme and not obsessive, not trying to become somebody else. Just what happens if I actually practice the things I've spent years learning? What happens to my energy, my strength, my relationship with food, my fasting, my skin, my routines, my mindset? What do I learn about MS? What supplements turn out to be worth understanding and what things don't matter nearly as much as we've been told? What works, what doesn't? What do I change my mind about? I don't know all the answers, and that's exactly why I think this could be interesting because you're coming with me. Please join me. Maybe you're not almost 40. Maybe you're 27. Maybe you're 52. Maybe you're 68. Maybe you're a man and not even a woman. I don't know. Maybe you're dealing with autoimmune disease, or maybe you're perfectly healthy. Maybe you found me because of fasting or because of skincare or because you're researching MS. Maybe YouTube just randomly put my face on your screen today. Wherever you are, whoever you are, I want to ask you something. I want you to ask yourself something. If I keep taking care of myself exactly the way I am today, how will I feel 5 years from now? Not will I be perfect? Will I be skinny? Will I get sick? Just am I caring for myself in a way that reflects how valuable my life actually is? Because you, my friend, are worth caring for. Not after you lose weight, not after you become healthier, not after your skin clears up, and not after you fix whatever you think needs fixing, but now. That's why I called this You Are Worth It Health in the first place. So here's what we're going to do. We're going deeper. We're going to talk about the vitamins individually. We're going to talk about vitamin D and MS. We're going to talk about fasting and nutrition. We're going to talk about autoimmune disease. We're going to talk about energy and the nervous system. We're going to talk about skincare and aging, and we're going to look at products and ingredients. We're going to talk about what science knows, and we're going to be equally willing to talk about what science doesn't know. And I'm going to bring you into more of my actual life and what I'm doing. Because, I'm realizing that maybe this channel isn't supposed to be me sitting here telling you how to have a perfect body. No, it's supposed to be something much more human. A woman approaching 40, living with MS, trying to take good care of the body and the life she's been given, and inviting you to come with me and do the same. That, my friend, I can do. And I know you can too. Let's do it together. If that sounds like a journey you want to be a part of, subscribe and come back because we're just getting started. And tell me something in the comments. How old are you? What is one thing you want to change about the way you take care of yourself over the next year? I really do want to know because your answers could determine what we talk about next. And whatever you ate, whatever age you are, like whatever your body has been through, whatever you're trying to figure out, remember, you are worth investing in. You are worth nourishing. You are worth caring for. And you are worth the time it takes to figure this out. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one right here.